Hello one, hello all, and welcome to Federico Gymnasium, folks. We got some live lady volleyball action about to get started. The ladies are on the court, and the Bulldogs are looking to bounce back, obviously, from last game's loss to Lincoln. We are live and in action. I am the voice, Greg Morano, alongside producer, owner, Shane Belanger. We have Lisa and True behind the lens. We are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. Folks, this volleyball team is exciting. They're high octane. They're fast. They're not what they were last game. We can talk about that a little bit later, but there's really not much need to be talked about. That happens during the season. Better get over with early than late. The girls are on the court. Unfortunately, they don't have any easy task to bounce back with tonight. The team in town, the East Providence Townies, come to town with an 8-1 record. Bulldogs 5-2. In division, Townies are 7-1 and the Bulldogs are 5-1. So they're essentially tied with less games played. So I don't think the Townies are going to go away quickly tonight. I think we better strap on because we are about to get started. Number 16 set to serve for the Townies, Daniela Escudero. And we are off, folks. Game one, best of 5 to 25, win by 2. And Bruno starts it off for the Bulldogs. Off the back line to Arnold. And they return, nice return by Arnold. And to the front line. And a soft one over, diving attempt, and the Bulldogs are able to keep it alive. And off the net from Federico's hand, first point will go to the Townies. Not a bad little volley. 1-0 East Providence. And she starts her serve deep from the line. High approach jump serve. And that's deep and taken by Arnold. And it's a bump set to Federico again. The back corner and inbounds, I believe, and it's a Westerly point, side out. Just like that, Westerly evens things up, and the sophomore, Abigail Donato, set to serve. When, I got to say, she's only a sophomore, but the Westerly offense goes when her hands touch the ball. She's the main setter for the offense as a sophomore, and she's excellent. Beautiful serve to start things off. Up towards the net, the Townies, they're forced to dump it, and they dump it deep. Arnold, Donato, and this is going to be Pelican, and it is returned back to Federico. Set by the Townies. Their spike attempt, block attempt by the Bulldogs goes into the net, and that's going to be a Townie point, 2-1. So very even start. 3 good volleys, 3 points scored, 2-1 East Providence. And number 5 set to serve for East Providence. That's Julia Williamson, the senior. And the serve. Taken by the Bulldogs, Tenuta, and put down, handled by the Townies. Their spike attempt, again, the Bulldogs' block attempt goes into their own net, and that's going to make it 3-1. They're just about an inch or two too far away. So the Bulldogs just faced Lincoln. Lincoln went into that game with a 2-3 record, and they swept the Bulldogs 3-0. There's no way to put a pretty turn on it. The serve by East Providence, just over the net, nice serve. Donato's going to give it to Pelican, and her spike attempt blocked and returned by the Bulldogs. And the set spike by East Providence, and that is going to be out of bounds. It's going to be a slide out, just what the Bulldogs needed, 3-2, and they will serve. So Lincoln snuck up on them, and you got to wonder, the Bulldogs went into that game 5-1, and you got to wonder, they knew they had East Providence to deal with, and you know the term trap game always falls into that. Were the girls looking forward to this game or not? Either way, it's over. And they're better than they were that day. They're at the net here. Federico puts it down. The whistle goes in favor of the Townies. The Bulldogs hit the net, and that'll make the score 4-2. And another side out. Don't forget, we are live and in action tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Not a normal start time for the football game. Arnold with a bump to Donato. Near side Bruno, spiked them, and not handled well by the Townies, but they're going to keep it alive, and they dump it over. It's going to be a tough night, folks. Donato, again to Federico, and she finds a spot. She's at best on the team, definitely finding the spot. Accuracy, she can place the ball anywhere. Point for the Bulldogs, side out, 4-3. As you see on the replay, she pushed it right where she needed. She reads the defense, scans the field or court as you would, and now she gets to serve her point. And the righty captain serves, she's a senior, and it's set by the Townies. And a soft attempt is blocked by Caracciolo, the Bulldogs. She's had 2 blocks so far. At the net, the junior softball star as well, back to the back line of the Bulldogs. And Donato sets it. Bruno from far away, handled by the back line. And they're tough to get it past, folks. And they dump to the Bulldogs. Caracciolo handles. Donato to Bruno. And that's off the Townies, I thought. No, it didn't. and that's going to be a Townie point out of bounds. Their block attempt, they're fortunate it didn't hit them, but a good volley again. Every point has been hard fought. Haven't been able to get into any details or anything because nonstop action, and that's what I expected here tonight. The last game, holy smokes, went 5. The Bulldogs pulled it out. The last home game, that is. Recovered it, and every single point was a battle, and that's going to be a point for East Providence, makes it 6-3. So East Providence putting the pressure on offensively early. Largest gap, 3 points. This production brought to you in part by Tim Killam for Westerly School Committee. And the jump serve by the Townies. Nice sliding attempt by Arnold to Caracciolo to Bruno, goes into the net, blocked by the Townies, Townie point, and 7-3 the score. So the Bulldogs at the net are losing the battle at the net at the moment. A lot of jump servers for the Townies. Another nice serve, and that goes off of the back of the hands of Caracciolo. That's going to be an ace for the Townies. 8-3, and timeout by Coach Beal. And the energized Townies come out to an early lead, only 5 points here in game number 1 of this best of 5 series. This production, folks, is brought to you in part by McQuaid's Ace Hardware, Wireless Zone, the Knickerbocker Music Center Live, and Tim Killam for Westerly School Committee. We are here live in Federico Gymnasium. If you're just joining us, folks, we are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, bringing it to you hard. The volleyball team, folks, is off to a great start. They're 5-1 when it counts in the league. Extremely talented team. They went to the semifinals last year. They have full expectations. They want to go further than that this year. We're back in action. It was a quick timeout. Set to serve for the Townies. The jump serve again. And Jacarelli out of bounds it goes, and it's an ace coming out of the timeout, 9-3. That vital point out of a timeout, so momentum on the side of the red at the moment. And the serve, a beauty, goes just over the neck, handled by Caracciolo. Jacarelli back to Caracciolo, and that goes down for the Bulldog point and a much-needed side out. 9-4 the score, early on in game 1. Such a game of swings, and I just can't get over the last game we saw. I don't know how they had the energy to play it on the court because I was drenched with sweat just from announcing it. I couldn't keep up. It was crazy. And I don't expect much less tonight. I really don't. I know this Bulldog team is going to be there till the end, and judging by the record, the Townies will be too. Storr with the serve to the back line. Barely handled. They didn't know what to do. It was right on the spot, and that goes back in favor of the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs will take the point, 9-5. And Storr, the junior, 3-sport athlete for the Bulldogs. The righty serve at the net, and that's going to go over the Bulldogs after 2 hits. Bruno tries to put it down, and back to the Bulldogs side. Storr, that's to Auth, and that's to Caracciolo. Down it goes for a point. Number 15, Lila Auth on the court. Spends a lot of time on the court as a freshman. To Caracciolo, what a beautiful back set. Behind the head. It's all about setting. I'm finding out just as a viewer and learning the sport. The teams that seem to get into a groove offensively that can set the best and the most often. The teams that score the most points. Another point for the Bulldogs. And they'll take it right back on board here. 9-7 the score. Storr again. Here we go. Knuckleball serve. Handled by the midline. Set this time, and the spike attempt, and that goes down, and that's going to be a side out and a point for the Townies as they're able to get into a rhythm that time offensively. And 10-7 the score. Bulldogs right back in it, down 3, looking for a quick side out. So the Bulldogs, they have 2 coming up, and then they play Cumberland, who in the division right now stands at 6-0. There's no weeks off here, no games off, and that's going to be an ace for the Townies as I speak through their turn. But there's no weeks off, as Coach Beal said, prior to the season. There's really not. There's a couple of games coming in where the teams are just below the Bulldogs' record, and then, boom, you got to head to Cumberland, and they're 6-0 going into tonight. So the serve, handled by Jacarelli. Storr, back to Arnold, the captain, to the back line out of bounds, and that's going to be a Townie point, 12-7. So here we are on this Thursday night. Getting ready for some Friday night lights on the road, though, folks, in Shea. If you can't make the ride deep into Providence on a Friday night, tune in here. We're bringing it to you live. That's another ace for the Townies, folks. Beautiful serve to the back line, and another Bulldog timeout, trying to change up the energy, trying to change momentum. And plenty to talk about this team. It's so early on in Division 2. You have East Providence, who you're playing tonight. They're 7-1 in the division. Then Charahoe, who the Bulldogs play. That's the last home game. We'll be bringing it to you. That's senior night. They stand at 6-0 at the moment. Cumberland, who you play in a few games, they stand at 6-0. And you're sitting right below at 5-1. So there's so many teams jumbled. You're a game out of first place, yet these two teams are undefeated. And there's a team below you, Middletown. They only have one loss on board. It's all the difference in how many games played. So everything matters so much, like these quiet dreams, Thursday night, Tuesday night, Monday night games. Everything matters. And the Bulldogs generally on the court, ready every game to jump serve for the Townies. They're making it tough, and that's going to be another ace coming out of the timeout. So we've seen, I think, 3 timeouts. Or 2 timeouts, and out of the 2 timeouts, and out of the timeouts, both points have gone in favor of the Townies, who are currently doubling up the Bulldogs via the ace mainly. Another jump and handled by Arnold to Store. And Orth tries to put it out just over. It's a let, and that may be what the doctor ordered. And off the rafters, and it's a Bulldog point. However you can get it, home court advantage, 14-8. The Bulldogs will serve number 13, Summer Bruno. Bruno set to serve at the net, and it's the let. You have Orth, Peliquin, and Caracciolo, and that's a trio you want to have at the net. Store to Caracciolo, the dink, and it's good. She has touch, and she can use power. She displayed that right there, and a big point for the Bulldogs, 14-9. This production brought to you in part by McQuaid's Ace Hardware, your local family-owned hardware store located on Franklin Street in Westerly. Bruno serve. Spinner to the far corner. The bump set deep. Spike attempt, that's going to go long and wide. And the Bulldogs climbing back in it, 14-10. Bruno set for another. And the serve to the back line, the spinner, and they're having trouble with the spin. Nice set that time, and that's deep, handled well by Arnold. That was a tough one. Store, Arnold's going to put it over. To the back corner and out of bounds, side out. Before the Bulldogs could get that close, they grab a 5-point lead, 15-10. Game's to 25. Looks like we're going to have a lefty up here, judging by the way she's standing. And we do. A moving jump serve again. And a tough one to let. And that's going to be an impossibility for the Bulldogs to prepare for. And another bounce point for the Townies. What a beautiful serve. I mean, the jump serve, and I had a side spin. Ace it is. 16-10, game 1, best of 5. This one goes to no man's land too. Ace number 2 in a row, 17-10. So number 14, Kira Mullen, is a freshman for the Townies, and boy, she is going to be a tough task to deal with 3 more years after this one. And the lefty, another one, that one just dropped into nowhere. Arnold returns it. They are at the net for it, another Townie point as they put it down. Bulldogs unable to get into an offense even when they are able to keep it up off the air, up off the court on the serve. So that is looking for 4 in a row here. And that's another ace, and they have it. And these aren't barely aces, folks. And I'm not saying anything negative about Westerly because these serves are phenomenal. And they have a side spin to them as well. So when Westerly is able to get under one, then it's not going where they want it to. For 5 in a row, just over the net. And they keep it in the air. Can Arnold get it over the net? No, she can't. That's going to be another ace. So holy smokes, folks. 20-10. I'm not yelling and with all that much excitement because the crowd's pretty quiet as well. They have doubled up the Bulldogs 20-10 on the back of looking for 7 points in a row, and that was their easiest to handle and store with the bump set to Caracciolo, and they can't handle it. They need it. And so far in game 1, when they've needed a side out, when they've needed a point, it's been number 28, Emma Caracciolo, as she'll get a break now. Arnold will get set to serve, but she's been on the spot, and now the Bulldogs need to make a little run cut into the gap here. Game only goes to 25. First serve, they can't handle. That's an ace, and that's how you do it. 20-12. Try to gain momentum back. Try to get some energy on your side. Number 1, the senior Arnold. No one better than Arnold can do it. She's a captain. Captain on the softball team as well. And the whistle, the serve, a line drive missile. Handled by the back line. Good set. Spike. Handled by the Bulldogs. Store at the net. Off. They're up for it at the net. Nice job by Store. Pelican tries to put it down. And they try to catch him sleeping, and not think they caught him sleeping. Bruno diving left-handed. They just found a spot. What aim, what accuracy for the Townies, 21-12. This is one tough team, folks. I honestly don't think the Bulldogs are playing that poorly. They're not serving it out of bounds. They're not putting anything into the net. They're doing a pretty darn decent job. I know Coach Beal would find different than I would, but. And the Pelican finds a spot for the Bulldogs. The junior steps up from the bump by Storr, and the Bulldogs get the much-needed side out. Nice court vision by Pelican. And the score, 21-13. And number 25, Abigail Donato, the sophomore. Haven't heard her name a lot here in game one, as the Bulldogs have not been in an offense all that much. A credit to the Townies. The serve. And that drops in. It is inbounds, I believe. Yes, it is, the ace. Waiting for the official judge to make the move, but that thing dropped out of nowhere. Right there, boom, it dove. And the Townies decided to let it go, and the Bulldogs will take the point. 21-14. And this one bump set. And they're going to dump it. And when they dump it, they do it with speed. Handled. Nice job by Donato. To the senior, Federico. Finds her spot. Point, but for the Bulldogs. 21-15. They're climbing back in. Donato, the sophomore. And the serve. To the back line, they called out, they let it go, and it was the side out for the Bulldogs. Only 3 more points needed for the Townies to steal game one here. 22-15. The Townies number 5 set to serve. Looks like Julia Williamson. And the righty, handled by Gingarelli. In the air by Donato, and the spike attempt not handled by the Townies. Quickly, the Bulldogs force a side out and the point. Don't let the Townies get any closer. That was huge. Pelican will serve, number 16, the junior. And the knuckleball dives at the net. They don't handle it well. And right at the net is Federico. And this time it is at the net. East Providence blocked by Westerly. And Westerly touches the net. East Providence will get the point. 23-16. I was trying to get your name and number on one of them calls. I can't get the name every time when it goes back and forth at the net as quickly as it does. How these women jump so repeatedly so quickly, I will never know. But I'll tell you what, this East Providence team came in a well-oiled machine. Tough serve. Handled well, Donato. And that goes into the net off the hand of Bruno. Game point for the Townies. 24-16, game one, best of 5 match. And the whistle. Number 2, Emma Nordquist, senior setter. And this is a spinner handled by Bruno. And bad communication is going to cost them game one. I don't think the Bulldogs played all that bad. They definitely didn't play their best, folks. But I do think the Townies played very well. So that combination turns into game one win, goes in favor of the Red. This production, folks, is brought to you in part by the Wireless Zone, your Verizon authorized retailer located in Dunn's Corners next to Duncan. Cell phone sales, service, and repair. Get up to $1,000 off iPhone 14 with trade-in when you pre-order. The Knickerbocker Music Center Live. Watch local bands live from the Nick in downtown Westerly, RI. A premium streaming service brought to you by the Knickerbocker Music Center and Westerly Live. So game one goes to the Townies. With that, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
I am Timothy Killam. I'm running for Westerly School Committee, and I ask for your vote on November 8th. Career and technical training programming is very important to me. Many students enter the workforce directly out of high school, like I did myself, and I now run a very successful business. We put a lot of focus on students going off to a 4-year college or off into the armed forces, but we don't tend to highlight the students that do enter the workforce right after high school. Our career and technical training program has continued to grow, and we are adding a 3rd construction class this year, but we need to do more. We have a neighboring school system that has one of the top-notch CTE programs in the state, and I think Westerly can be there or even above it if we continue to put efforts into the CTE program. Now's the time. Let's grow that program, and let's help every student succeed.
All right, folks, let's go. We are back at it. Game number 2. Players are taking the court. Game number 1 in favor of the visiting East Providence Townies. In pretty much, they came in looking confident. They played confident, and the results turned into a victory for them. Where did the Bulldogs improve? I don't know. The serving for the Townies is excellent. The back line, I thought, played pretty well for the Bulldogs. The front line did well. I mean, I don't know. The coaches made the adjustments they needed to make, I'm assuming. All I know is that this Townies team is a tough one. I know that this Bulldogs team will play all 5 games. They'll play until every last little point. They did it last home game against when Mount Hope was in town. We watched it. It was crazy. It went 5 games. Mount Hope scored more points on the night, and Westerly took it out. So by no means would I ever write off this team, even if they're down 2 games to none. So Donato's set to serve in game 2 here. We want to hear her name more often up near the net. That means the Bulldogs are getting into their offense. And it's the same situation with the Townies. When the ball gets in, Nordquist is here, number 2. They're getting their offense. So here we go. The serve by Donato with beauty. Handled by the back line. They're going to have to dump. And their dump is a jump spike situation. And up top of the net. Hit the net, apparently. And that is going to be called against the Bulldogs. So a little too aggressive, a little too close to the net. I believe that was Peliquin who got the call. Number 16 set to serve. Score 1-0 here, game 2. We played at 25, folks. We play win by 2. This is a big one. Like I said, all these teams are grouped up. 0 losses, 1 loss. The Bulldogs are sitting there with 1 loss. This would be a huge upset for them down the road. And in the middle, handled by Sawyer. They're going to have to dump it over. Arnold handles it. Out of bounds it goes, though, so the Townies will take the point 2-0. Sporadic crowd here on hand. Thursday night, you never know, especially with the students. I know they'll all be tomorrow night, and that's in Providence. So if you can't make it, we got a game. 6 p.m. Served by the Bulldog. Handled by Bruno. Nice job. And handled by Donato, and the spike attempt into the net. 3-0 by the Townies. Bulldogs don't want them to get too many early on in this second one. They scored in a little bit of a flurry towards the end of the first one. Once they grabbed a 6-7 point lead, the Bulldogs never really got within 3 or 4. So, 3-0 already early on in game 2. Federico Gymnasium. The jump serve. Handled. And it's going to go to Federico, and that is deep, out of bounds, 4-0. I am the voice, Greg Morano, alongside producer, owner, Shane Belanger. We have Lisa Ann True behind the lens, folks. We are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. We're bringing it to you live. Westerly Varsity Girls Volleyball. We have a great volleyball team this season. I know they're down 1 game to none. I know they're down 4-0. That doesn't mean anything. It's a long year. It's a long night. And handled on the back line by Bruno. A nice job. Tenuta in the action and put over. And there's the set by number 2. Spike into the net. Bulldogs will take it. The first side out, and they're on the board. 4-1. So Captain Ava Tenuta on the court. Donato alongside. Peliquin, Arnold. Federico. And Peliquin with the serve. And the lob to the backside, bumped. Close to the net, handled jump set. And they tried it with a dink. Handled by Bruno, the dive. And Peliquin will put it over. Nice job. Bruno saved it. Bump. And the spike deep, handled by the Bulldogs. But the tip changed the path of the ball. And the Bulldogs couldn't get a grip on it. 5-1, side out, East Providence serve. So, folks, when I mentioned the football game tomorrow night, they normally start at 7. This one doesn't. It starts at 6 p.m. It's in the city. If you're getting out of work late and you can't make the drive, tune in here, folks. And the serve, line drive. Bruno handles it. And into the net, off of Donato's spike set. Bulldogs had a great spike opportunity at the net. The net play, there's definite advantage for the Townies. Every time the Bulldogs seem to block it, it's going on their side of the net. I don't know what adjustments you make, but that's carrying on here into the second game. 6-1 to score here. And a jump set by Donato to Federico. Tries to find a spot, handled by the Townies. And the set spike, they find the spot. Number 9 for the Townies, Bernhardt, a middle-hidden junior. And a whistle, that's Coach Beal, and the Townies are getting excited. So they took game 1, and they came out on fire here in game 2 and are taking momentum and energy early, folks. This production is brought to you in part by Tim Killam for Westerly School Committee. McQuaid's Ace Hardware, your local family-owned hardware store located on Franklin Street in Westerly, RI, your fall cleanup headquarters. So, folks, beyond tomorrow night, our action next week, we have some varsity soccer action on the 4th. girls varsity soccer. On the 5th, we come back here in Federico Gymnasium for some ladies volleyball. And then on Friday, the 7th, Central High School live, Salo Algieri Field. 3-game week next week, big week. But the here and now, we have the reeling Bulldog volleyball team. They haven't really gotten into their rhythm at all since they hit the court here tonight. They haven't had a lead since they hit the court here tonight. In fact, they haven't even been tied since they hit. Now I'm figuring all this out. Sometimes random information just pops in my head at random times, and there you go. You got some stats for you that weren't in front of me. So, yeah, they haven't even been tied prior to this game in game one. East Providence set to serve, looking to extend. Every player seems to have a good serve to the back line. Arnold, the bump set, nice job by Bruno to try to carry it over. And to the far side, it stays on the East Providence side. They handle it, though, to the net. Federico dumps it over. East Providence with another nice bump set. They have to dink it. They do. Handled at the net by Federico and then by Tenuta. East Providence with the set spike handled by Bruno to Gingarelli. To Donato. She dumps it over. Bump. Number 1 for the Townies. Blocked by the Bulldogs. And they handle it off the net, though. Of course they do. Set by Federico to Tenuta, the captain, off the side of her hand. Great volley back and forth. Unfortunately, again, it goes to the red. And they extend the lead to 8-1. I see a little frustration on the face of the Bulldogs. Nothing but confidence on the Townies, of course. And the serve, handled by Arnold over the other side of the net, turned into a good set for the Townies. Again, a bump, and they dink it by Bruno. She is having a good night for herself. Number 1 with the spike, handled by Arnold somehow. It turned into a nice spot for Federico, who puts it over again for the second consecutive time. And again, from midcourt, they hit. They find a spot on the floor. That's what they do. The Townies are on fire. They're in red. They're on fire. It's 9-1. 25-16 victory in game 1. If you were here with us, folks, and this is a confident squad. They came marching in from Providence, and they've been marching on. Line drive, everyone can serve. They can put it anywhere, too. Handled by Donato to Bruno. She tries with the dink. He got pretty close to the net, and it dropped a little low on her. She was unable to do it. Hit the net anyway. Everything went wrong. Everything going wrong at the moment for the Bulldogs. That can all change in a moment, folks. This is high school sports. That's why I'm saving my explosion for when it does. When the Bulldogs go on their run, which they will. Line drive into the net. You never know. That could have sparked a fire. That's a fault that we haven't seen by the Townies. I don't know if they've had even 2 of those. 2 tops. Set to serve. Federico, senior captain. Across the court to the back corner. And the Townies are forced to dump it over. Number 1 does that. Can the Bulldogs get into their offense? Bruno. Donato back to Bruno, a little close to the net. And again, it gets stuck on the net. On the Bulldog side. Quick point for the Townies. 10-2. 1-point run for the Bulldogs. Can't afford that. See, in the first game, they weren't making a lot of mistakes maybe per se. I'm sure they made their fair share according to the coach. And another one for the Townies. So they give you another point. And that's a rarity. So 11-3 the score here in game 2. A couple substitutions. The freshman Lila off in, and 25 Donato off. Store in, Tenuta off. Brown in, Gingarelli in, Arnold in, and Federico in. Little shift change for the Bulldogs. Store with the serve to the back, to the mid hitter, and they set a little bit deep, but they still spike it. Beautiful spike, handled by Store. Beautiful save, and Gingarelli dumps it over. They had to save their lives again, but Store did it, and they get into their offense. The Townies mistime their jump, and the Bulldogs will take the point 11-4. Great job earning that one by the Bulldogs, I'll tell you that, off the hands of Store. And they're looking for 2 in a row here, 11-4. The junior Store, number 9. She'll be on this court until the spring, right through basketball season. And a nice serve, and they're back into their offense. A nice back set, and they trip to dink it over, but they hit the net. The Bulldogs do, while on D. Keeping them off balance, the Townies. Side out, 12-4 the score. Number 9 set to serve, Kate Bernhardt, middle hitting junior. That's what she's been doing tonight. The Townies are hitting, and they are serving. Line drives all over the place, out of bounds. That's an ace, 13-4. An ace like our sponsor, McQuaid's Ace Hardware. And there's a lot of aces on the side of the red here tonight, unfortunately. We don't love to see that, but at least it's early in the season, and you're kind of seeing the class of the league. I think we are anyway, out of bounds. And that class, as I speak of it, makes mistakes. They have, I'd say, 4 faults tonight in 2 games so far, so they can serve it into the net. They've hit the ball out of bounds, as you've just seen, so they're not unbeatable. They don't not make mistakes. They overall, however, take advantage of your mistakes. They get into an offense almost every time, and just like this time, they all can spike. They all can serve, more importantly, out of bounds. Bulldogs point. They all seem to equivalently be able to hit well from anywhere. That time it soared a little bit on them. And as I talk, and not about the game, the Bulldogs are scoring. So I don't know what to do with that. Bruno, the serve. Let's see. Bump, and let's see what the number 1 does. Soft spot, and they score. See? I'm calling it, and it's a quick side out for the Townies. 14-6. Townies 8-point lead halfway through game 2. They took game 1. If you're just joining us, we are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. We're bringing it to you, folks. Game 2 in the gym, Federico Gymnasium. And that serve is a beauty. Boy, is that thing dropping once it crosses the net. In ace, number 1, Brooklyn Fiola, a senior, offensive hitter. They can all hit. They can all hit hard from anywhere. They all have a jump serving style, it seems like. And that Arnold to the net, close to the net, went over. And number 2, the setter is going to have to dump it over for the Townies, Arnold. And that's going to be Storr. That's going to be the off to the back line. And a set. And this one goes called in. Bulldogs not getting any of the breaks. That was close. Check out the replay. And that ball is close. Called out of bounds. Bulldogs called inbounds. It was inbounds. And East Providence gets the point. And the serve goes out of bounds. So they flip back and forth. 16-7 the score. And by no means is this, you can't come back from this. We've seen bigger runs by this before, by this Bulldog squad. It's whether you get too far in debt here, and this East Providence doesn't have enough mistakes in them to let you back in. And right there's a fault on the Bulldog serve. 17-7 Townies. And here's the lefty freshman. If you remember, she went on quite the run in game 1. She got her own little approach and a heck of a style of serving Bruno. And that went to Pelican, and they dumped it over. So that set goes on the Bulldog side. And they put it down, the freshman off. Wisely for the side out and point. Excuse me, that was Pelican. Coming around, no, that was off. Down for the point, Wisely. Thank you for the replay. Westerly.live. And the serve, Donato. A line drive beauty. Now that is an ace, and that is unfortunately, folks, that's what Wesley's been dealing with all night. Serves like that. That's why I'm not getting all over him. There's been a few sloppy plays, but there's a few sloppy plays any night. Even East Providence has them. But East Providence's serving and middle hitting ability, it's really good. And here they get into their offense. They spiked at the net. They're real good, too. I guess that's all 3 levels. Spike off the Bulldogs. Nice job at the net by Tenuta. Back into their offense that quick to the Townies. At the net, block. Point. Bulldogs. That was a joint effort. Pelican and Federico are there. They're excited, this Bulldog team. 17-10. Donato, the sophomore setter. Looking to cut in a little bit more here. And the serve. Nice line drive to the side. Handled up close to the net. They're right back in their offense. And the jump spike handled by Pelican into the net. Point goes to the Townies. Whistle's blown. Side out that quick. And the hopes of a lengthy run are diminished. Score 18-10. Inching. As they cross that barrier of 20, if they do, when they do, then the vice grip's on. Crowd's quiet. The serve, handled by Arnold. The set by Donato, and they try to put it down. Rotating over, and the Townies are able to be the ones putting it down. 19-10. Right now they're in a groove. They've been in a groove, folks, since the beginning of game 1. Right now, can this train stop a roll? And the Bulldogs are wondering, and they're starting to reel a little bit. You're looking at a timeout very soon if they score this 20th point. And the serve, a line drive just over the net. Donato with a nice set. Federico spike attempt in it. Oh, diving, they keep it alive. How did they do it? Turns into a point for the Townies. 20-10. Man, oh man. Right now they appear to be able to score in any scenario. That was almost a guaranteed drop for the Bulldogs. Turns into another one for the Townies. Coach Beal's letting it go a little bit here. And the whistle. And the jump serve, the line drive, man, that was a tough one to handle. That was an absolute missile. An ace, 21-10. We have more volleyball action, folks, next week for you. In the next home game here at Federico Gymnasium. Nice serve. I don't know what to say. I mean, you can't say anything poorly about the Bulldogs, really, when that stuff's happening against them. I've seen they're serving in their middle hit all at that same velocity, same accuracy, their ability to dig. I don't think is any superior to the Bulldogs' back line. I mean, I don't know. Look at that serve. It's a missile. And they handle it near the net. They're forced to dump it over, but they do get the return. And they're set by number 2. And the mistiming by the Townies gives them the side out. This is a Bulldog team that don't quit. You hear me say it? And the junior, Riley Pellick, number 16, sometimes hard to distinguish between Lila Orth. Their hair both covers their numbers. They both play at the net. And that's Donato with a nice bump set. And it turns into a Bulldogs point. Summer Bruno's been active tonight. She was active last game we had. And a nice spike at the net. She's a tough player, man. She is one of the Bulldogs' toughest, grittiest players. And, Pellick, we're looking for another one. And a bump set. And this is one of their middle hits into the net. So here we go, a little bit of a run, 22-13. And this is what they need. The Reds down to 3 here, so. And the set by Pelican. And will it get there? It does. It drops. An ace. And it looked nice and short to begin with, so she's found 3 different locations, 3 different points. Look at this puppy just fall. This knuckleball, no one's there. Nice spot. An ace for Pelican, and they're climbing, 22-14. And here we go, from left to right. And a whistle. And is it a timeout, I believe? I do believe. I don't think it was no, it's a point. Something happened. There's some kind of an infraction, I do believe it was called. So that is going to make it 23-14. Folks, she must have stepped on the line prior to the serve is the only thing I can guess. 23-14. And the Townies only need 2. And this one's going to fly deep, and it's going to be handled by Arnold. And that is going to go down off the hands of Summer Bruno. And that's going to be a Westerly side out and a Westerly point, 23-15. The senior captain, Federico, 21 to serve. Game 2. The whistle. And the serve. Line drive into the net. Now it's game point. In the hands of the Townies. Game point brought to you in part by Tim Killen, Westerly School Committee, folks. Number 2. The primary setter for the Townies. Serving for game number 2, game point. The serve. Handled on the back line by Gencarelli. At the net by Donato to Caracciolo. And they put it over to number 2. The spike down, game 2, Townies. So, 2 games in the books, folks. Both games go to the red and black, the East Providence Townies. They came in with a 7-1 division record, an 8-1 overall record. And they have shown why their record stands as it does, folks. They have taken game 1 and game 2 in convincing fashion, 25-16 and 25-15. And those scores aren't that bad. I say convincing fashion because it's been right out of the gate. The Bulldogs haven't held a lead really in any game. Momentum's been on their side entirely. They've made far less errors. They don't make many errors. They're a pretty well-oiled machine. And they came to play. So that being said, I'm going to give you a quick break, and we'll be right back for Game 3. Hello, 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 and here we go. Folks, I've saved my energy tonight just waiting for that burst by this Bulldog squad. If you're just joining us, first two games didn't go our way. We play a best of 5 is what we do here, and that means they can't win one more or else we lose. That's just math, and I am the voice, Greg Moreno, alongside producer-owner Shane Belanger. We have Lisa and True Behind the Lens. We are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, live from Federico Gymnasium for some ladies varsity volleyball action. We got a great varsity volleyball squad here in Westerly, so tonight is not indicative of the team we have, but what it is indicative of is the upper echelon of talent they have to deal with later on in the year in Division 2, and this is it, right on the court, East Providence. The Townies have come, they've played, they've made fewer errors, and they have really forced the issue, in my opinion, with their ability to get into an offense, but their serving and their middle hitting is always in the air and high velocity. So here we go, game 3, 2-0. If this goes the Townies' way, our night is over. I don't want that to be the case. I have way too much left in me. So the Townies back into their offense, quickly spike, and out of bounds it goes. Wesley didn't touch it, they get the point, and I do believe it's either their first, at most their second lead of this entire night, folks. So that's big. 1-0 Bulldogs, set to serve the sophomore, Abigail Donato. Crowds into it a little bit, fresh start here, the serve. And they bump it onto the Bulldogs side, and the Bulldogs are going to have to return it, and they do. To the back line. And their offense, the Townies, nice job at the net for the Bulldogs. To Federico. She's going to find a spot with it. Handled by the Townies. And they're at the net, put down by, that is Riley Peliquin who puts it down for the Bulldogs. So point number 2, the biggest lead for the Bulldogs of the night, and they're off. Well, that's a missile. That's an ace anywhere, folks. Whoever you're playing, you serve like that. And then you're getting a lot of those off the hands of the Townies tonight. And that's where a lot of the difficulty comes. And the back line for Wesley is doing a nice job. Julia Gervasini and Dina Arnold are doing a nice job handling these missiles. You can only do so much with them. So 3-0 to score. And they bump it to dump it. Now on the Bulldog side, Gencarelli. And that goes off Donato's hands. Federico puts it down. 2 hits on East Townies side, and the lead grows 4-0. Do you see an early timeout by the Townies, or do you see them just go with it? Did they take a deep breath and think this thing was over, or are the Bulldogs just tightening up the reins? You decide. Townies with the bump set up a little off the net. And there to the back line, Gencarelli handles it, and the Townies go to put it down, and they do. Bulldogs unable to return it, 4-1 score, first side out, and the Townies are on the board. Looking to see who will open this one up serving. While they do, this production is brought to you in part by Wireless Zone, your Verizon authorized retailer located in Dunn's Corners next to Duncan. Cell phone sales, service, and repair. And here we go, the serve. Handled by Gervasini. To Donato, and blocked by Federico. A nice block, nice job at the net. And the Bulldogs will take it 5-1. And Summer Bruno, the junior, set to serve. As number 13 gets it set, the whistle. And the serve. And they are set, a little deep. And they'll hit it to the back line. Arnold. Donato with the bump set. And that is handled by the back line of the Townies. And a nice spike attempt into the net. Block either way. Bulldogs point. 6-1 the score. This is exactly what we were looking for. Exactly what the doctor ordered for the Bulldogs. Bruno looking for another. Putting the Townies in a position they have not been in here tonight, which will also wake up the crowd. And they're able to get a side out right there. 6-2. East Providence will serve. So the Bulldogs reeling a little bit. I mean, no one wants to say it, but truth hurts a little bit. The last 5 games they've played, they've lost. They lost 3 in a row to Lincoln, and they've lost the first 2 to East Providence. You wonder if that gets in the head of the players. I don't think it does unless they lose this one right here. Even if they lose tonight in 4 or 5 sets, I don't think it does. It's over at that point. But I think they really need to win a set. To drop 6 in a row is tough. Against 2 tough opponents. 1 on the road, and then you get to come all the way home and play top of the mountain East Providence Townies. Nice serve handled by Ava Tenuta, back to Tenuta, captain, and she handles it. They're going to have to dump it, and that's a Bulldog point. As Tenuta has done well when she's been in here tonight, and Bulldog team starting to get into it a little bit. Senior Federico set to serve, number 21. 7-3 Bulldog lead. Game 3, best of 5. Varsity Bulldog volleyball action. Tomorrow night, folks, Friday Night Lights at Shea. Be advised, 6 p.m. start time. Tell your friends, 6 p.m. They normally start at 7. It is 6 p.m. If you can't get in the city that early, tune in. Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. We'll be bringing it to you live. Bulldogs trying to turn things around. I have confidence that they will. At the moment, this Bulldog squad trying to turn things around here. They have a lead. Federico, I'm not sure what they're waiting for. The official to blow the whistle. There it is. Here we go. And that goes to the back line. Handled awkwardly. Number 2 does get to the set. And there's spike out of bounds. Bulldogs point. 8-3. So a nice 5-point lead for the Bulldogs early on. Told you the last thing this team would ever do is fold up shop. They don't do that. Coach Beal and her coaching staff, excellent coaching staff. And then you have to talk about that. And quick side out by the Townies. That's why I really don't think the last game was much of a trap game as much as it was just Lincoln probably played a real good game. And they were off. And the Bulldogs really aren't on their A game at the moment tonight either. And they're playing versus a team that, God, I hope this is their A game. Because if they can play any better than this, they're in trouble. And the serve, tough handle, brought back in by Pelican. The Bulldogs dump out of bounds. And right back in it are the Townies, 8-5. Game number 3. Bulldogs got to win this game to go to a game 4. Game 1 and 2 both going to the Townies. And the jump serve, as they all do, you rarely see that. And Caracciolo handles it. And Caracciolo puts it back over. And Caracciolo Jr., multi-sport player. Good things happen when she's involved, and there she is with the bump. And this time, she puts it over again. And the set, carry, point, East Providence, 8-6. And here we go, the jump serve. And it dives. Caracciolo handles it. I don't know how, but she does. And she's going to put it back over the net as they give it back to her. East Providence dumps, but when they do it quickly. And Donato to do to the captain. Partially blocked. Whistle against the Townies. Point for Westerly as they got into the net a little bit. So that'll give them 9. 9-6 to score. And Dina Arnold, number 1, set to serve, the captain. No one better when you need a point. And I could be wrong, correction. In comes Alex Storr, and she'll serve. Junior. Number 9. And the righty launches one, handled in the back line. The set, the spike attempt hit. I thought I heard a whistle. I didn't. And that is handled, almost handled by Storr, but a nice shot by the Townies. And just like that, Townies serve 9-7. They had a comfortable little, well, nothing's comfortable, but they had a nice little 5-point lead with the serve. That's down to 2 without. All the connections tonight being made by the Townies. And that serve into the net. There you go. Quick side out, quick point for the Bulldogs. Set to serve now is captain, number 22, Ava Tenuta, who's having a nice night for herself. She really is. When they get her involved, she's doing nice things with it. And the serve, cross court, handled by the back line. A bump set. Always trying to get into their offense. That is out of bounds is the call. Bulldog point. 11-7 the score. But this East Providence team always trying to get into their offense. Whether it's a bump set or a regular set, they're very good at it. They have multiple players that can do it. And Tenuta deep, and they let it go. I think it was in, and it was. That's an ace for Tenuta as the knuckleball dropped when it needed to. Spinner. There you go. Bulldogs need a little room. They're back to 5, just like that, with the serve. A game of swings with progressive scoring. Forward spinner, they don't handle it well, and that's an ace by Ava Tenuta. I said she was having a good night quietly, and she is on the serve now. She has added to the repertoire tonight. She is a senior. She is a captain. And the serve to the back line. Can they handle this one? They get into a low set with a dink handled by Oth, Storr, and Bruno. Out of bounds. That's going to be a Townie point and a side out, 13-8. I hear a whistle, and we're ready to go, 14. That's going to be Kira Mullen, and she's a freshman here. That's the lefty freshman. How could I forget? With the approach, that's very unique, but, man, can she hit it for a freshman. As you see right there, Arnold handles it, but a little too far and wide. That's an ace for the freshman. She's had a bunch tonight. And the jump serve out of bounds and the ace. Timeout on the court. 13-9 to score. Game 3. Game 1 and 2, folks, went to East Providence. We are live at Federico Gymnasium. We're bringing you more girls varsity volleyball action next week, and that will be on the 5th. But before that, we got some girls soccer action. They're having a great season, folks. Right at Salvador Jury Field on the 4th. And then some more boys soccer, and then more football. So a lot of action coming. 3 games next week. Before that, we got Friday night at Shea tomorrow night. Bulldogs looking to turn around their season. Let's see what the coaching staff and team has cooked up for us. That's one of my favorite parts, the adjustments, the chemistry, the chess match. Here we go live. The Bulldogs need a little turnaround here. They hold a 13-10 lead, game 3. East Providence serve by the freshman and brought back in by Oth, thankfully, and brought over. And then jump set. Didn't attempt. Bruno handles it. Caracciolo tries to put it over into the net. Point. East Providence, 13-11. The whistle, and here we go. And a nice serve. It goes right back over off Gengarelli's hands. Bulldogs haven't gotten an offense. Oth tips it. One-handed by Storr, but the Bulldogs can't get the return. 13-12. Midway through game 3. And the whistle. And that's serve. Line drive back, handled by Arnold, but over straight to the Townies. They were waiting, put down by number 2. And another point. We are tied back up. So from the Bulldogs' first lead of the night, and they held it for a little while, but now we are tied at 13. And this jump serve. Looking for their first lead of the night and brought back in. No. The Bulldogs will take it right back. 14-13 Westerly. Set to serve Dina Arnold for the Bulldogs. And the whistle. Bump. And they try to get him sleeping. Put it straight over. That's Oth. Over to Bruno. And the bump by the back line of the Townies. Sets up their spike attempt. Kept alive by Federico. And Bruno, it's tipped off a Townie out of bounds. No, it's not tipped. It just soared, and the Townies get the side out in the point. 14-14. Now every point means more to the Bulldogs than it does to the Townies. The Bulldogs are counting up. The Townies are counting down. And the jump serve to Arnold. Federico pushes it over to Bruno. She's been on the spot a lot tonight. And in their offense tipped, and can they get it over in 3 hits? They do. Federico dumps it. And they dump it over to the Bulldog side. Oth tries to spot it. Federico to Oth. The overhand, handled by the midcourt. And the back set. And they get it into the net. The Bulldogs are going to take it. They're going to take the side out, and they'll snatch the lead. Back and forth we go. Jostling for position. Game 3. First 2 games went to the Townies. Bulldogs looking to extend to a game 4. They got to win, folks. They're going to be the first to 25 by 2 to even play a game 4 here. And this will be 2 games in a row if they do not. That's very unlike this squad, but this team here, this Townie team, folks, they could do this to anybody. And Bruno with it into the net. Donato back to Bruno, puts it down. Bulldogs point. 16-14. 2-point Bulldog lead. Abigail Donato, the setter, sophomore, to serve. And that goes to the back line. The bump. Set, short, tries to catch it low. And Federico to Oth. The bump set. And that's going to fly off of Arnold. That's going to be a point for East Providence. And that's going to make it 16-15. This is going to go back and forth. Check out the timeout. I think it tipped. It did. And we're ready to roll again. 16-15 Bulldogs. Game 3. Could end things, or it could just get things started. Gengarelli tries to just hit it over. Into the net it goes. We're tied. East Providence not going to make it easy to continue this one, folks. And they handle it, but they're going to have to dump it, and they do. And a bump, and number 2, their setter, and they get it over with their soft hand, and at the net, Arnold spots it, and they keep it alive. That's the freshman. And they dump it to Federico. Donato, and over, that was Peliquin to Donato. And that's put over to Bruno, and they find a spot, Bulldogs point. And they needed a 17-16 Westerly. They got to keep momentum. If there is any momentum, this has been so back and forth, there really hasn't been. But if any momentum develops now, it has to be in the favor of the blue because there's no time left, there's not enough points left, and your night's over if you lose. Set to serve, Summer Bruno. No one more fitting. She's had a busy, busy night. She's done it. She's had a good night. And the serve. Number 2 with the set. She sets it at all different heights. Low, medium, high. Sometimes she just dumps it right there with medium. Put down hard by the Townies. Quick side out. Don't allow the Bulldogs to get on a run. Surely don't allow any momentum. You hear me say that word across the board in so many sports because it's true all the way from the professional level down, but especially true at the high school level. Bulldogs have not been able to get into a groove all night here tonight, and I'm assuming they couldn't in Lincoln as well. We've watched them play well, though, so we know what's into them. Into the rafters, and they're still able to return it. They dump it to Arnold. Been busy, busy, busy tonight. Federico, and it sails. 18-17 the score. East Providence, their first lead of the game. Game 3, which could be the deciding game, has to be frustrating. The Bulldogs held the lead all the way through the halfway portion of this game. And Arnold handles it to Federico, and that's going to be the Pelican. We're at the net, the set. And the spike, block attempt, out of bounds. Tenuta was there, Federico was there. The ricochet goes East Providence's way. 19-17, a race to 25 now, folks, for East Providence. Only in Game 3, but that may be all we need. Live from Federico Gymnasium, Bulldogs need a side out to Peliquin. And she tries to find a spot, they dump it back over. The Townies up close to the net, and the Bulldogs try to put it down, nice one-hander for Federico. And number 2 with the set, this time it's high, across the court, and it is out of bounds, inbounds, East Providence's point. Westerly not getting the calls or not getting the falls, whichever way you want to call it, whether it's in or out, and that sure looked close. Now set to serve, 19-17. 20-17, correction. They have hit that number. And they're going to put it over, that's Tenuta, and the Bulldogs will get the point. Just side out when they need it. 20-18. And East Providence is set. Doesn't make it back. Nice job at the net. Emma Caracciolo. Able to... Oh, wait a minute. Must have hit the net. The block attempt by Caracciolo. 21-18. So now the Vice Script Titans, folks. Not only on this game, but on the night. And there is an ace. 22-18. And the timeout by Coach Beal. Coach Beal, in large part, letting her players play through this game, and there is a mindset behind that. I know there is. I don't know her exact mindset because she's a volleyball czar, and I'm just watching the game here and trying to break it down a little bit for you, but essentially just bringing you the action with as much excitement as possible. And only the excitement really has been, there has been Bulldog excitement, but it's been always on their heels because that's the pace East Providence has forced. Coach Beal, what I was saying earlier, is really kind of let her players play through this Game 3 situation. You're playing a top-level team. You know it. They're going to be here in the end. You might as well go through it, let them play through it. 22-18, see how it comes out here in Game 3. And the serve out of the timeout, ace, East Providence. They get the point out of the timeout. They have done that all night long. They've had the advantage in that capacity as well. 2 points away, 23-18. The gym is quieted. Players frustrated. East Providence doesn't want another game, and it's a let off the net, and look at it dance. Hits the net twice, point for East Providence. And they could say good night, Irene, with this serve, folks. They came to play, and they played. Not so. That's out of bounds. It's not over yet. 24-19. And there has not been so much poor play on the Bulldogs' part. I think if the Bulldogs played the way they played tonight, they would have won their last game probably. They'd be about half the teams. They haven't been on their game, but they haven't been as bad as a 3-0 sweep would have normally looked. Set to serve, Alex Storr. Number 9, trying to salvage a win here. Keep this night alive. One win could springboard you to anything. And the Bulldogs with the block. 24-20. They need a 6-point run to win it here. They need 4 in a row to stay alive. 4 more. 4 more points in a row to stay alive. And the serve. Bump set, and that's going to be out of bounds. Here we go, 24-21. They need 3 more to stay alive. Alex Storr, number 9, trying to do it for the Bulldogs. And the serve, the knuckleball, handled but not perfectly. The set, the spike attempt off the hand of, no, it's out of bounds. Bulldogs point, right back at him, 24-22. I thought they might have gotten a tip, but that ball soared. Here we go, Bulldogs. They're right back at it. They need 2 in a row to stay alive. Storr with the serve. High lob. Not handled well again. Maybe they're a little nervous on the other side. They dump it inside the marker. Handled by Auth. Set by Caracciolo back to Auth. And now the Townie's on the defensive. The freshman to the back line. Auth into the net. And that is going to do it for this one, folks. East Providence, the Townies came in 8-1 overall, 7-1 in the division, and they showed why they have the record they had, 25-16, 25-15, and 25-22 respectively. Folks, they're a good team. Westerly, I look for that to see them turn it around. We're going to be bringing them back to you live next week. It won't be long. With that being said, folks, tomorrow night, again, the prompt, 6 p.m., versus Shea. Big game. Big turnaround game for the Bulldogs. We're bringing it to you live, Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, and we're going to sign off for the night, folks.